Hello, everyone, and welcome back to VectoScalar Tech Talk show. In this episode, we have an amazing guest, Shubhneet Chawla, who will be talking about future of blockchain technology. Welcome, Shubhneet, to VectoScalar Tech Talk show.
Yeah, thanks, Vikas. Thanks for inviting me in. Yeah,
Thanks for being here. For the benefit of our audience, let me introduce Shubhneet Chawla to you. Shubhneet Chawla is a blockchain enthusiast who provides professional assistance to enterprise in developing and implementing products and solutions using cloud native technologies like AI blockchain technology. He is a corporate executive with 8+ years of experience with 5+ years in technical product development and product management into blockchain and AI product. As member of India Blockchain Forum, he contributed to the growth of blockchain and Web3 community and ideate use cases and workflows. He has mentored fintechs such as Bank of Maharashtra, ICICI Bank for blockchain-based solution DeFi, and contributed to closing a deal worth 20 million TCV and 4 million ARR. That's huge. So, Shubhni, tell us about you that it's not a straightforward path to getting into blockchain technology. So, what's your journey or and how you got into blockchain technology?
thanks, Vikas. Thanks for these questions. Uh, so, blockchain journey has been a great journey from since I've been working on this domain from last 7 to 8 years. I mean, when I started this journey back in 2017, so this term was relatively new, like very new. Hardly few of the people were there in the market who were aware of these terms. So blockchain for people, blockchain came late, but Bitcoin came first.
Yeah.
Okay. So one fine day, my manager threw me a term that okay, this is the new term that is there in the market, known as blockchain. Can you go and like Google it? I was just a college grad in those days. I said fine, I'll do that. So I started googling with my limited knowledge. I was not able to get through what the blockchain was, but I was able to identify what the Bitcoin was. People were talking about Bitcoin then. I mean, it started to shoot its price to uh, $25,000, which is like roughly 60,000 plus dollars in today's time. So it was then I've seen that journey of starting from 10K to 20K, 25K for the Bitcoin. From there, the interest drove me. Okay, what is this technology all about? Did some analysis. I decode that Bitcoin hash somehow from their algorithm. And then seeing my work, I mean, my manager was able to send me to Japan to learn about this technology. I'm very grateful to him. So I've worked with various people around that, driven some use cases, helped them at every aspect. Okay, this is the testing side of it. This is how the UI will look like. These are the network configurations. We had the technology at the base, did some use cases, did some pilot, which were not the potential use cases, but to learn about the technology. So this was how I started. So when I came back, I did various projects. Land registration was one of the project that is working in Telangana. So I did similar kind of POCs and certificate management. We was just tapping on the technology just to identify what its potential benefits are and how it will truly shape the market. Gradually, when I since my experience was also growing, my expertise was growing. I did some other use cases for US healthcare. We did for a supply chain management systems. And then we identified, okay, these are the benefits what the technology provides. So this is how it worked. I mean, people usually understand that Bitcoin is blockchain, but I'll say Bitcoin is just one use case of blockchain. I'll say it's similar to like Facebook and LinkedIn. These are not internet. These are just the use cases built on internet. So yeah, people tends to misconcept this technology, but I'm still thankful that there is a use case that attracts the technology that help you drive what is at the back end of it. I think Bitcoin has played its part very well for people to know about this technology.
That's a positive side of looking at things
Yeah.
that because of probably the popularity of one thing, other the technology behind it also got popular and probably
Yes.
generated the industry interest from the industry that okay, let's explore this technology also
Yeah.
while we are talking about the cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
And as you rightly mentioned that it's not just the technology, it's something basic. But for the benefit of our audience, help us understand what is blockchain, because the name is very interesting, but what exactly is blockchain? It's still a unsolved puzzle for most of the people.
Okay, so I'll explain blockchain in the very layman terms. Okay, since we know that we are in the era of digitalization. Okay, so we need something which is secure, transparent, through which we can basically exchange information. Okay, data become an important oil for us. Okay, so here blockchain will come into picture. Blockchain is not, I'll say, it is not something new which is there in the market. It is a bundle of things that are already existing. Network was already there, TCP/IP protocols were there, ledgers were already there. Okay, internet was running on some networks. People are already storing data on the databases. So we have bundled those things together and created an umbrella known as blockchain. Okay, we feel that blockchain, being a technology, has the potential to transform the way we store the data. Okay, the way we verify the data in a transparent manner. Okay, initially, like I said, this technology is behind cryptocurrencies, and now it has been expanded to various industries. Okay, so if I'll show you some technical aspect of it, I'd like
Sure.
to share a presentation.
Sure.
Yeah. So for the layman term, assume that there is an entity or a stakeholders. We call it a node, that is a participant of the blockchain. Assume that these are four nodes. I'll say four peoples that are in a conversation of some time. Okay, so every node is a part of your blockchain network. Okay, every node will have its own ledger, and ledger is okay. When I talk about ledger, what is ledger? So this is a ledger. In earlier times, people tends to record their transactions in this particular, I'll say, a notebook. For them, this was their ledger, and at the end of the day, they do their accounting, matches their number, come to a consistent state. Okay, this much money I got, this much money I've spent, and I'm at this consistent state. That was the ledger then. And now in digital times, you will see a database, a digital ledger where you'll record all these transactions. Okay, this is a simple ledger diagram, nothing more, nothing less, as simple as that.
Yeah.
So every node, every participant will maintain its own ledger, which will be consistent to the participants that are there in the network. Okay, it's very easy. This will be your final source of truth. You cannot change that. You cannot modify that. You cannot delete that. You cannot go back and change anything which was already written onto the ledger. This makes it immutable. Okay, so as the term says, blockchain, if I'll break this term, we have a block, then we have a chaining of blocks, which means we have some data, we chain it to the other data, and we bundle them all together in an immutable manner. And this is the power of blockchain. Okay, if I'll give you an example, let's say today I bought a house of 1 CR. Down the line, after 10 years, I sold it to another person. So my entry will be there recorded in that block with the actual price of it. Down the line, after 10 years, you'll see the other person. Let's say Vikas bought that particular house of 1.25 CR. His entry will be recorded. And after 30 years down the line, you can easily check back the trace and originality of the asset. Okay, this was built somewhere in 2024. This was the guy who purchased it, and now it has been sold to Vikas, and Vikas is the legit owner of it. Okay, so we have the problem of Benam Sampatti, we say,
Yeah.
wherein you don't know
Yeah.
who is the original. People are actually
Yeah.
having conflicts on the originality of who is the current owner of the this property. Then
Yeah.
we guys, there are many cases that are there running on the report courts on this housing crisis and the disputes that are happening. Why?
Yeah.
Because you do not have a sole owner. You do not know who is actually behind the scenes. Okay, so this technology helps you deliver that transparency in the ecosystem, that trust, and the auditing mechanism that this technology gives. And since it's a distributed ledger, which means I have one copy of it, my state government has one copy, my district government has one copy, and my country has one copy of it. Even if I tend to change something, but all these three other copies won't be changed, okay, without the consensus. So consensus is the heart of blockchain. Consensus is the agreement how you do things, okay. It's not me that is making changes, but in traditional system, let's say we use database, it's typical database which are
Yep.
centralized in nature, single point of attack, someone can go in and make those changes. But in blockchain, it is really difficult, and it is immutable in nature, that one person cannot make changes. You need the approvals from that. This makes this technology very powerful in nature. And the future, I think the future is adopting it really well. We have seen Gartner reports in 2023. There was a Gartner reports of the most trending technology, and you'll find that blockchain is one of the most prominent technology that will have a very high impact in 1 to 5 years, typically
Okay.
5 years, and it'll have a great market. We have seen use cases evolve. So, cut short, I mean, if you want to take, so the other day I was listening to a news, and there was a um journalist who was saying, if you want to take corruption out of the system and you want to bring transparency, give those technology, give that power to the technology rather than giving in the hands of humans. So I think this is one of the potential technology that will help you drive something on those. Yeah.
Got that part. That's a very easy to understand explanation of blockchain. I must appreciate that. And so while Shubneet, you mentioned that blockchain technology is one of the cutting edge technology for the future, but in day to day time, we got to hear a lot about artificial intelligence and machine learning. But about the use cases of blockchain, we are not seeing happening in the industry. So do we have any existing use case that we might not be aware of and the technology is implemented, as you mentioned in your profile that you have worked with Bank of Maharashtra and ICICI Bank? So has it been something that already implemented in the space of blockchain?
Yes, yes. So there are various use cases that are currently happening, since it's a revolutionary tech that is happening. So I don't know if you guys have heard about CBDC, Central Bank for Digital Currency. Okay.
Yes.
So the idea of CBDC is to have a digital trail of money that is happening. Okay. CBDC is one of the prominent use case that is happening in India and around the globe, and that is using a part of blockchain technology with it. Okay,
Okay.
and then you'll see various globally, you'll see various use cases that are happening. Walmart in Canada is using a blockchain technology for their supply chain, and then blockchain technology is using in fintechs for like money lending piece. Okay, international border transactions that are happening globally, that are being done on the blockchain side. I mean, there are various using that are, some are in the pilot stage, some are in their different phases, and some have already been released. So yeah, different companies are doing different things, but in every domain it has its importance. Okay. So one of
Okay.
the project which I was working on, that was the clinical trials. Okay. So whenever a medicine is supposed to be released, they need to perform clinical trials, and on the
Yes.
basis of those clinical trials, you tend to judge whether this will be released or not. Okay. So what we've seen, that people tends to do some false clinical trials just because they want to release something fast. Okay. So we made an attempt, we did a POC rather, to put those clinical trials on the blockchain. We know whom we did it for, what were the actual results, are they legit or not. Okay. So from the ground state, if you'll start making things simpler and transparent, then your product will be like actually in shape. You'll be actually having the right data and the right metrics to look for, if your things are actually in the transparent manner from the scratch. So this technology helps us that, and any use case that requires such transparency and trust in the system, so that down the line after 10 years I can come back and see what actually happened. Okay. So blockchain play a major role in it. So does the DeFi.
Got that. Got that. Yeah. So as you mentioned that there are many technologies and many use cases that are already being using the technology of blockchain. Having said that, I had one more curiosity that say if somebody try to explain to to us the NPC, a national payment card, that how the UPI is happening, the technology behind it. That's one aspect. But if somebody say that okay, QR code based payment, and somebody just feel it, that see it happening, and it, I think it has been in news many a times where foreign ministers and even president of other countries are visiting India, and when they experience micro payments happening through QR code, they are fascinated.
Yeah.
So technology behind it is one thing, but the on ground user experience, that okay, this is the use case. So when you say that land registration and those kind of things may also adopt blockchain kind of technology, so do we mean that, for example, when we are buying or selling land right now, we have to go to registrar office, that we take a date and sign those things in front of the registrar? Do we mean that like we are having QR code based payment, we can just sit in a room and buy sell and just sign the document? Is it going to happen
Absolutely. I
near
mean,
future?
that is happening. I'll say we are not far to that. It is
Okay.
already happening. You can buy a piece of land. You can that and register that on the blockchain. Okay, and you can have a trail of it. Telangana is the first state to do that land registration on the blockchain piece. They have done that. But apart from that, also, I'll give you an example. There is Earth 2.0, which is
Yeah.
it give you virtual lands. Basically, it was just some project that someone created. So you buy a piece of land, you see, okay, this is my land, and it's registered on the blockchain. Okay, they gave you one address. Okay, this to this address, this is your land, this is the amount you are paying. Let's hardly $2, $3 you pay for it, and then you can see, okay, I bought it from this person. You can also sell it from this person. So this makes the process very smooth. You'll see there will be some use cases where you'll actually see the importance, and you'll see, okay, this is bringing the transparency, and I can even audit it. You if it is required to be audited. Otherwise, this technology is more towards a back end thing, which user might not have much I'll say much experience, because hardly today also you do not know if you are using any application. You are hardly
Yeah.
aware of, or you do not even want to know what kind of database they are using, right?
Definitely, yes,
The
yes.
problem happens if there is a breach in it, then you will go back and see. So blockchain will help you prevent that particular breach, and there comes the power of it, how it will bring to the market.
Okay, that's interesting information, and probably just aligned to that. What is the future? That probably 5 6 years down the lines, how this technology is shaping? Because I think for some reason media attention was grabbed by AI/ML. So if
Yeah,
probably just an imaginary situation, if these two technologies are talking to each other,
yeah,
so both are equally powerful, but somehow media attention is grabbed by AI/ML a lot.
yeah.
So in future, where we can see the this blockchain technology happening, and what will be the shape?
I think AI and AI, ML, and blockchain will bridge together in future. Why I am saying this is AI ML is all about data. Okay, you play with the data once you have the data. Blockchain is about getting the data that is legit. Okay, if you
Yeah,
have the legit data and base, if you want to do some analysis on the legit data, you have the authenticity of data. You know that the data that the analysis which I'm performing, the reports I want to generate, okay, those will be legit if your data will be legit, and if it is coming from a source of truth. Okay, so blockchain will be your first wheel to get the data, to generate the data in a legit manner, and AI will have a role to play with that particular data. Okay, so I feel that surely they'll meet someday, and obviously they are meeting for some of the projects I'm aware of. They are meeting, but this will take a couple of time. People will get habitual to it, because it is just the change of mindset that is happening from your traditional system, the way we are doing things, the way we are doing accounting, to the blockchain scenario. It is, I mean, think of it as how banks and how Bitcoin works. I mean, there is a entirely change. You are removing the intermediary from the picture, right? So so the change of behavior will take time, and gradually things will fall into place. They will have a brighter future. Various countries, even India is doing so well in this domain. They have their Indian blockchain forum. You'll see a gift city having various projects that are running on blockchain. Bangalore, Hyderabad, Telangana, where every state, even Chennai, has their own blockchain committee. Okay, they are exploring use case. You'll see, I mean, they have started working in it on it, and the government is also very, I'll say, positive towards the technology rather than that Bitcoin use case. So that
Yeah.
in attention to it as a use case, but they are aware that okay, this technology has some power to show, and we can have use the benefit of that technology to develop various use cases around it.
You rightly mentioned that there are many use cases, and as you also mentioned that because it's the internal side, which probably most of the database side people who are internal to the system would be knowing. So there must be a lot of things happening at the B2B level,
Yeah,
which people and user might not be aware of. But
yeah,
listening to you, it seems that a lot is happening in the space of blockchain technology. And as you also mentioned that though it's not Bitcoin, but you talked about CBDC, that we also got these messages. I created my account on bank, but
yeah,
we are not using it probably. But there is a infrastructure that has been built which can support all this transaction, which itself
yes,
speak a lot.
yeah.
Yeah. I have got one question from Bhavna Mia. What are the scalability challenges facing blockchain networks, and what solution are being proposed to address them?
So scalability is, I'll say, depending. It also depends on the use case which you are addressing. Okay, if you are addressing a global use case, then obviously you need to have your nodes at different uh, positioning. Maybe one in India, one in US, other in Japan, Singapore. Okay, so scalability is not an issue technology wise, but yes, we what we have seen is blockchain tends to be a little slower, but they hardly impact your business, but they're a little slower in implementation. Why I'm saying that is, you have a database as of now, okay, which is a centralized, you have one piece, you have to hit to get the information. But when you talk about blockchain, you need some authenticity, okay, you have to get agreements, like I said, from four different places to show your data. So this makes it a little slower as compared to traditional system. But since the advent of technologies and cloud native technologies in such a manner, like Nvidia is also doing a lot in the news, you can see their AI
Yeah.
chips, all those things, you're making the GPU processors so efficient that scalability has been addressed in this piece very well. But even if we tend to, it's like initially when we were doing implementation, we tend to face certain challenges regarding their networking kind of thing on the technical side of things. But with certain configurations, with keeping the nodes near to each other, okay, hashing down the data, we tend to prevent those challenges which we encountered during our implementation on the initial days. But down the line, since we have crossed 5 7 years, technologies are very much mature that they handle those things very gracefully.
Okay. So I hope Bhavna, your question is answered, and thanks for asking your question. I have another question coming from Simple. Simple is asking what are the emerging trends and advancements in blockchain technology that we should know about?
Okay, so there are various frameworks in the market, like Hyperledger is one of them, Corda is one of them, and Quorum is one of them. So there are certain frameworks that are developing as per the use cases. Then there are certain frameworks that are so generic in nature that multiple use cases can be built over the top. Okay, so one needs to be aware of, one should not restrict themselves with just one framework of this particular technology. Like, people do not restrict themselves to one database. They have knowledge of MySQL, MongoDB, PLSQL, all those things. Similarly, for the implementation piece, blockchain also have its own flavors. Okay, you'll see there are permission blockchain where no one, let's say you are solving a healthcare problem, you do not want any external person to see your data. Okay, then there are solutions like cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, where everything is available readily, you just have to have the hash. So those are permissionless, anyone can join. Okay, let's say there is a government project running, only government entities can join. So those are different flavors and emerging trends that are happening. Also, there is a new concept of open networks that are there in the market. You got to know about that. There is a backend technology that is working on that. ONDC, if you guys, open network for digital commerce, that is working on that open networks, which are interoperable in nature and unbundled system. Those are the emerging trends which the market is moving towards. Okay, so when I say about interoperable, if I'll give you an example, today I want to get a visa. Okay, so I'll go to the embassy, and then embassy will connect with their own country and they'll give me a visa. What if things get interoperable in nature? I give them my credentials are already verified, and they give me an, let's say, a visa, they very effectively, since my system and their system are interoperable in nature. Okay, can this happen? I can I hop that verification stage? They do not need to verify it if we are interoperable and acceptable and standardized in nature. So those things are the emerging trends that are happening in the markets, and India is, I believe, the leading those things in the digital public infrastructure DPI stage. So hopeful in India we have a great future ahead with these techs.
That's a positive outlook, and I think it's happening a lot. That the digital adaptation currently, that the way it is happening in India is actually placing India as a leader in the world. That
Indeed.
other countries are seeing that how things are happening. Thanks, Ipal. Thanks for asking your question. And for the viewers, in case you have any other question, you can look it in the type chat box below, and I'll be taking those questions slowly and gradually. Now, going to the next question, you just talked about so many technologies that are there, but it's seen that adopting a new language or some new database, there is a common basis, the existing knowledge that is utilized, but it is seen that adopting technology like AI, ML, and blockchain, there is a steep learning curve. People who consistently put in that kind of effort, they only able to grab the technology to deliver something.
Hmm.
From learning per se, we get to learn few things. So do you want to recommend some learning resources on how people can enable themselves to get into this technology of blockchain?
I'll say Mm, there are today in the market, you'll see there are various platforms that offer learnings. Okay, you can pick anything. I mean, there is no fixed path for it. How I started working is, if I am want to adapt certain new technology or a new task, which is new in the market, what I'll do is I'll go to YouTube's, spend 2 hours learning on that, do some certification from LinkedIn, Udemy, whichever is cheaper and whichever is best. You just wanted to gather information, okay,
Yeah.
as much as possible. I'll not hit on the same day, but I'll know with my, I'll say, spending 40 hours of learning to it, I know where things are going. If I'm able to write it down, visualize, map with my current processes. Okay. This is how my learning curves go. But yes, you're right. It will take some steep learning curve initially. But down the line, I think as soon as you jump in to your hands on, it will be easy for you because learning never stops. Okay.
Yeah.
You'll learn for 3 years and you'll see that okay, this technology, something new is coming. So you jump into your problem solving things. You have like uh, internet, go through YouTube videos, go through LinkedIn courses. There are various interesting LinkedIn courses that it provides. You can also go to Udemy for doing all those things and just start reading and implementing those things. Language is not a barrier. I'll say with this technology, they have created modules in every language. You talk Java, Node, Python, Go, every language has these things. Down the line, you'll see language is not a barrier for any problem. Okay, you can do those things in any language. So one should not restrict themselves that okay, I'm a Java guy, how will I do that? Everything is possible. Language is just a tool to do that. And just learn, try, implement, get your hands dirty, and I think eventually we can do that. I mean, this is approach which I
Yeah.
followed and it's easier.
Yeah. That makes total sense that there are so many resources learning, but I think nowadays it's a problem of plenty. That out
Plenty.
of those, out
Right.
of that too many courses, what are the actually the right course that is
Yeah.
useful to me? My next question would be around that. Some of our viewers are coming from the background that they are a founder themselves and say they want to use the this blockchain technology. So what should be the next step? Like by just reading blogs or watching videos, people cannot ascertain that okay, whether this use case can actually be solved by a blockchain or not. So what are some trusted forums or where what they should do to get that clarification that how I can use blockchain in my area of work?
Okay. So they have to tap on the area where, like, let's say if I'm from the fashion industry, okay, I need to meet certain companies, see what their technology, how they are driving it, okay,
Yeah.
and making those connects. They can propose, okay, this is the technology, this is the value add which we can give. There are various channels which are legit channels that are there on, I'll say, telegrams and uh, other social platforms which you can join to just to know what the trend is and how
Okay.
to implement it, how to propose that to your customers, is how we do it, by identifying the problem. Blockchain is not, so a couple of years back we used to say that blockchain is a solution still looking for a problem, because that was too niche. Everyone wanted to do that, but we were not aware of the use case. But now things are easier. They know, okay, this is the potential use case which we can try on. Okay, India is very, I think, very competitive market with the blockchain thing, and they are implementing certain use cases. Moreover, when I talk about frameworks, every framework has their own legit page or documents where they tell you, okay, this is how you implement it, and these are the industries which has already adapted this technology. I'll say go and visit those pages. Let's say I'll give you example of Hyperledger, which is a very big community which has the backing of IBM, and Intel is there, and Linux Foundation is there. This is one, and then we have Quorum, Coda. You'll, if you'll visit these websites, you'll see they'll tell you this industry we have implemented this use case. Just have a look, build some understanding around it, and then you can tap the similar market onto that. They'll completely guide you because they also want their adaptation to happen. Why not use that particular information?
Yes, that makes total sense. And now we have another question coming from Shubham Gupta. How do you envision blockchain technology evolving in the next 5 to 10 years? We discussed it earlier as well, but if you want to add more lights to this question again.
Yeah, so I've been working, I have been very passionate about this technology. So
Yeah.
I see that trust, transparency, and auditability is the key to, I'll say, more democratic world where everyone is knowing what is happening behind the scenes. Okay, is it happening in a trusted manner? So for me, yes, this technology makes sense. Framework doesn't matter, it's just a tool of developing it, but this technology needs to be there, mm, in almost every project, I'll say, because this is the core of IT. Okay, you're delivering something on the basis of certain data, so that data needs to be legit at first hand. That is your first hand information. So I believe there will be multiple use cases. Even government is very proactive to use it. They are exploring at this stage, but down the line, in 5 to 10 years, you'll see certain use cases actually in the market with their results. Today if we'll start, in a decade you'll see those fruits in the market which are already started down the line. So yeah, I'm very hopeful it will be there. You'll see, if you'll start today, maybe in 2 years you'll find a good job in that market and you'll be leading that particular area.
That's nice, and I could see that mother's love, like my baby is best. So where it will be used, it will be used in every project.
Yeah,
That's a interesting conversation and
yeah.
interesting understanding. Thanks, Shubham, for asking your question. I hope your question is answered. My next question is, and it's not just a question. As a we were just discussing earlier, you were talking about that you write reviews of the book. So how does that help, and what's the inspiration behind that?
I love to read books. I have been doing that. I prefer to do that on daily basis. I tend to read 20 pages a day, and I've reviewed roughly around uh, 30 books, 30-35 books I've read, my review books on Goodreads, and I also post on LinkedIn. So idea is to learn something new every day, and being patient, because reading requires patience a lot. So it helps
Yeah.
me with that. And then down the line I feel that, okay, I'm reading these books, I'm preparing certain notes at the end of the books, get some highlights and post it, so that after 5 years when I come back, I have something, I can share something. Because today reading has been on the backside. People don't like to read. Okay, they just Google it, get their things in, and
Yeah.
get out. So that reading helps me to have patience, sit, observe, So this is what I like to do. If you'll see any of my books which I've been reading, and the last page, I tend to mark page numbers if there is something interesting on that particular page. So I'm building this community someday, that okay, if someone down the line after 10 years doesn't have time to read books, technology is so much advanced, but still you need the crux. So maybe I can help those people. That's it.
That's a beautiful way of probably making sure that we have learned it well and then
Yeah.
passing it on so that
Yeah.
others can also learn it well. We have another question coming from Aman. Aman is asking that what are the potential risks and vulnerabilities associated with blockchain networks and how to mitigate them?
So the issues which we encounter with blockchain was, since there are multiple nodes in the network, okay, how do you enable trust between them? Okay, why would I trust the data which is coming from you? Possible. Okay, so to eliminate those things, we have to bring them on the same page. Okay, we are not sharing the data with them which they do not require. Data is always shared in the blockchain on need to know basis. Okay, let's say I am sharing my personal information, PII data. Okay, I am throwing in the network which is not relevant to them. Okay, what I'll do is I'll mask that, but I'll hash that particular data. So my data will remain with me. Okay, I'll give you a random hash number, that okay, this belongs to my data, you just keep it, but that is encrypted. Okay, but if someone wants to see it, they should come to me, notify me, and get an access of it. This is what the concept of digital identity is. Okay, so my soul data really stays with me, and if you want it, I can give you on need to know basis, that too if I want it. So I
Yeah.
am the sole owner of it. So blockchain gave us that power also to own the data. Ownership lies with the beholder, rather, I'll say. Okay, so those were the challenges. And more potential challenges were whenever we propose someone that okay, why you use blockchain, they say okay, why to change the system which is already running. Okay, so
Yeah.
that shift of behavior was difficult at times for us to convince to the clients, unless they see a value add to it. Okay, my system is already done, why should I invest so much in this technology? Because this will change the way I'm storing the data, all my system will change. So those were the things that happens. And yes, throughput was one of the issue. Like I said, things become a little slower while you're working with blockchain. So this is one of the potential risks that we have. And if in the network your one node is compromised somehow, someone tends to like impersonate your node, that can be one of the major risks because he's in the network. But frameworks today are so robust enough that they don't let that happen, so that is taken care by the technology itself. Okay, the implementers have made this technology so easy, they have given so many, I'll say, instructions, or documentation is very well written, so that it's easier for developers to develop it. So the community
Okay.
is building really well, so you don't have to worry on that piece.
Okay, that's an interesting piece that there are certain risks and vulnerabilities, but I think the most prominent being always remain the human nature.
Yeah.
I think that whether they will change or adopt the new technology. Thanks, Aman. Thanks for asking this question. And with that, we have come closer to the event of closing the VectoScalar Tech Talk show for today. Any last message for Shubneet, like you want to share with our audience before we close for today?
Yeah, I think we Indians are doing really well. Let's be a part of orchestrating the world by technology rather than being victimized by it. Okay,
Yeah.
so we are leading, and let's start working towards it and orchestrate the world. Let the world know that okay, we are here by using this new experimenting. Next experimentation should never stop. We are doing it. So I think everyone should play their part, do little small changes, share them. I think if you'll share them, then there are people who will acknowledge them, make you correct, do all those things. Okay, so we should be open to that, and let's be a part of orchestrating the
Yeah,
future
yeah,
of the world.
that's
Yeah.
a powerful message that let's orchestrate. I think it's a other way of saying that create the world that you want to see. So let's just create the world that we want to see. And with that note, let's close the Tech Talk for today. And thanks, viewers. Thanks for asking your amazing question and participation in every Tech Talk, including today. We have the contact of Shubneet displayed below. So you can follow his great post and get inspired by him. In case you have any question, you can watch him, and I hope he'll be available to answer your queries.
Definitely.
And
Yeah.
with that, just keep watching every episode of VectoScalar Tech Talk. Keep coming. If you're not subscribed, subscribe our YouTube channel, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram as well, so that you keep getting updates. Thanks, Shubneet. Thanks again for being on the show. Have a nice
Thanks,
day.
Vikas.
Bye
Thanks
bye.
for your time. Bye bye.